Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know how much we love digging into the best advice out there for living a more fulfilling life?
Absolutely.
And today we're tackling a topic that I think is universally relevant.
Hmm.
How to improve our social skills and become like master conversationalists.
Yeah.
So we're diving deep into this book called How to Talk to Anyone About Anything. Bold title,
Very bold.
right? But I
Okay.
think there are some seriously intriguing takeaways here.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that really struck me about this book is that it starts with you.
Hmm.
It emphasizes that before you can really connect with others, you need to kind of take a step back and understand yourself.
Well, that's so interesting. So it's kind of like know thyself before you can lead
Exactly.
others.
Yeah, like really understanding your own values and beliefs and even, strengths and weaknesses. I think sometimes we just kind of go through life without really thinking about those things, and then we
Yeah.
wonder why we're having trouble connecting
Right.
with people.
So the book actually gives an exercise, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
It says write down your top 5 values.
Yes.
And I think that's a really good way to kind of get to the core of who you are and what matters most to you.
Yeah. And I think it helps you to show up more authentically in conversations
Sure, yeah.
because you know what you stand for.
Exactly. And I think that authenticity is something that people can really sense.
Definitely.
When you're talking to someone who's genuine versus someone who's kind of putting on a front.
Totally.
And then that leads us to another key point that the book talks about,
Okay.
which is the importance of active listening.
Oh, yes. Active listening.
Have you ever heard that?
Well, of course, but I don't think that I always practice it.
The same here.
Sometimes I catch myself listening to respond rather than actually listening to understand.
Yes. And the book gives this really great anecdote about a daughter who decides to go vegan,
Okay.
and she's talking to her dad about it,
Mhm.
and he's completely missing her point
Right.
because he's already formulating his response in his head about how much he loves steak.
Oh, I see.
And it's just like this perfect example of how we sometimes fail to really, truly listen to what the other person is saying.
Yeah, we're just waiting for our turn to talk.
Exactly. It's like we're so focused on our own thoughts and opinions that we
Yeah.
miss out on the opportunity to really connect with the other person.
Absolutely.
And so what the book suggests is that we shift our focus from ourselves to the other person
Oh, okay.
and really try to understand their perspective.
I like that.
And one of the ways that it suggests we do this is by asking clarifying questions.
Oh, good idea.
So instead of just nodding along or pretending like you're listening,
Right.
try asking things like, what led you to that decision?
Mhm.
Or could you tell me more about your experience with that?
Right.
It shows that you're genuinely interested in what they had to say
Yeah, it shows that you care.
and that you're not just waiting for your turn to jump in
Yeah, and that you're present.
and that you're present.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then the book lays out this really cool framework that they call the 4 steps to conversing with anyone.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
So the first step is reading the room.
Okay.
So it's about being perceptive of the other person's demeanor.
Right.
Like, are they looking stressed?
Yeah, are they withdrawn? Are they
On.
Yeah, are they super energetic?
Yeah, exactly. And it's about adapting your approach to match the situation.
Okay.
So if someone's looking really down in the dumps, you probably don't want to come in with
Well, they're
super
pretty
high
being,
energy.
like boisterous.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to kind of match their energy level.
Exactly. And then step 2 is making a positive first impression.
Okay.
And the book uses this really interesting analogy here.
Oh, I love analogies.
It compares us to children.
Okay.
Think about how kids are just naturally confident and unfiltered.
Oh, they have no filter.
They have no filter.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, I like your shirt, or whatever's on their mind. And the book suggests that we try to tap into that childlike authenticity.
That's cute.
Right. Because when you're trying to be someone you're not,
Yeah.
it comes across as inauthentic.
Right.
And people can sense that.
Yeah, like trying too hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself.
Embrace your quirks.
Yes.
Let your personality shine through.
I like that.
Yeah. And then step 3, if you've read the room and made a positive first impression,
Okay.
is breaking the ice.
The dreaded icebreaker.
Yes. And the book suggests that we ditch those generic conversation starters.
Okay.
Like, what do you do?
Oh, yeah, that's so boring.
Right. It's just so surface level.
Totally.
So instead, try something more engaging.
Okay. Give me an example.
Like, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Ooh, I like that.
Right. Or What's something you're really passionate about?
Yeah, those are good.
Those kinds of questions invite the other person to share something personal.
Yes. And it kind of sets the tone for a more interesting conversation.
Exactly. It's not just like exchanging pleasantries. It's
Yeah.
like actually trying to get to know the person.
I like it.
And then the final step is finding the connection.
Okay.
So this is where active listening really comes into play.
Okay.
You're listening for those shared interests, those common threads that you can build on.
Gotcha.
So it could be anything from, you both love the same type of music,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you've both traveled to the same place.
Oh, yeah. Or you both have dogs.
Yeah, you both have dogs.
Yeah.
Like anything that you can kind of latch onto and build a conversation around.
So finding that common ground.
Exactly. And sometimes it takes a little bit of effort. You might have to
Yeah.
dig a little deeper.
Right.
But those connections are out there.
They are.
You just have to kind of be open to finding them.
Be receptive.
Be receptive, yes. And then that naturally kind of flows into a conversation.
Yeah, you don't have to force it.
Exactly. You don't have to force it.
It just kind of happens.
It just kind of happens organically.
That's the best.
And speaking of building connections, we can't forget about small talk.
Oh, small talk.
I know it gets a bad rap,
It does.
but the book actually has a refreshing take on it.
Okay, tell me more.
So instead of seeing it as this like mindless chatter,
Right.
the author suggests that it can be an opportunity to find those sparks of connection,
Okay.
even in those like everyday mundane topics.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And the key, he says, is approaching those topics with genuine curiosity
Oh, okay.
and enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. That's a good one.
Right. So instead of just being like, ooh, crazy weather we've been having,
Yeah.
you could say something like, this rain has me dreaming of like tropical beaches.
Oh.
What's your ideal escape from this dreary weather?
I like that.
You
Yeah.
see it? It's so much more engaging. It is.
Yeah.
It takes that simple observation and turns it into a question that invites further discussion.
Yeah, it sparks curiosity.
Exactly. And now the book also dives into another topic that I think makes a lot of people nervous:
Okay, what's that?
charisma and confidence.
Oh, yeah, those are big ones.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that those are like innate qualities.
Right. You either have it or you don't.
Right, but this book actually frames them as learned skills.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it introduces this concept called the Hebbian principle,
Okay, the Hebbian principle.
which essentially states that neurons that fire together wire together.
Okay.
So by acting confident,
Mm-hmm.
you're actually rewiring your brain
Oh, wow.
to become more confident over time.
So it's like practice makes perfect.
Exactly. It's like practicing those confident behaviors until they become second nature.
So fake it till you make it.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the book even mentions Amy Cuddy's research on power poses.
Oh, yeah, like standing like Wonder Woman
Exactly.
for 2 minutes before
Yeah.
a big presentation or something.
I've heard about that.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah, and it seems so simple, but the research suggests that it can actually make a difference.
Right. It can actually change your physiology.
It can, yeah.
And that can impact how you feel.
Yeah, and beyond just the poses and the techniques,
Mm-hmm.
the book really stresses the power of self-belief.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a big part of it too.
Like if you don't believe in yourself,
Right.
how can you expect others to?
Exactly. And this leads us perfectly into one of the most engaging chapters in the book,
Okay.
the art of storytelling.
Oh, storytelling.
Yes.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yes. Because the book basically says that everyday life is full of stories
Mhm.
just waiting to be told.
But how do we find those stories?
Right. And then how do we share them?
Right. How do we make them captivating?
Exactly.
So the book gives some really great techniques for identifying those interesting plot lines
Okay.
and crafting those concise stories that really capture your audience's attention.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites is they call the 1.1.1 method.
Tell me about the 1.1.1 method.
Okay, so every good short story should have one action,
Okay. One action.
a one-sentence summary of what happened,
Okay.
and one emotion.
Oh,
So let's say you spilled coffee on yourself this morning.
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
You could say, I was rushing to work, tripped on the sidewalk,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up drenched in coffee.
Yeah.
Let's just say it wasn't the most graceful way to start my day.
That's good.
Right.
You got the action, the summary, and the emotion.
Exactly.
I like it.
It's so simple, but so effective.
Yeah, and relatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the book goes even further than that. It outlines like the whole structure of a captivating story,
Oh, wow.
like from setting the stage to building tension to resolving the conflict.
Like a storytelling masterclass.
It is a storytelling masterclass.
Oh.
And I'm already starting to see how I can apply these techniques to my own conversations,
Me too.
like just thinking about how I can structure my anecdotes
Yeah.
in a way that's more engaging,
Yeah. Make them more interesting.
make them more interesting. And then the next chapter we'll dive into
Okay.
is all about becoming a more interesting person.
Ooh. Becoming a more interesting person.
Yes, but before we jump into that,
Yep.
I think it's a good spot to pause
Yeah.
and let our listeners kind of absorb all these incredible insights.
Catch our breath.
Catch our breath, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in a moment with more from How to Talk to Anyone About Anything.
Sounds good.
That 1.1.1 method is really going to stick with me.
I know, right? It's so simple, but
Yeah.
it's like a little formula
Yeah.
for a good story.
A good story, yeah. And the book goes even further than that. It actually breaks down like the whole structure of a captivating story,
Oh, yeah.
like how to set the stage,
Right.
build tension, and then like resolve the conflict.
It's like a blueprint
It is a blueprint, yeah.
for storytelling.
For
Yeah.
storytelling. Yeah, and then the next chapter that we're going to dive into is all about becoming a more interesting person.
Oh, becoming a more interesting person.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, not to say that you're not interesting already,
Of course not.
but we can
You
always
can always grow.
grow and learn and expand our horizons, right?
Right, exactly. And I think the book really emphasizes that it's about pursuing your passions,
Mm-hmm.
like trying new things and really just living a life that sparks your curiosity.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the more interesting your life is, the more you have to share with others.
Totally. And it's not about becoming someone you're not.
Right.
It's about cultivating those aspects of yourself that,
Yeah, that light you up.
that light you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That bring you joy. And I think that naturally leads to more engaging conversations.
Yeah, and I think the author makes a good point that a lot of people get stuck in a conversational rut because they're not actively seeking out new experiences
So true.
or new perspectives.
Yeah.
So it's like their well of stories has run dry.
Yeah. They have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, and one of the things the book suggests is to be more mindful
Hmm.
of the opportunities for connection that surround us every day.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of just going through the motions,
Yeah.
like try striking up a conversation with the cashier at the grocery store
Okay.
or the person next to you on the bus.
I like that.
You know, just little things like that
Yeah.
to kind of practice those social skills.
It flex that muscle.
Yeah, exactly.
The more you use it,
The stronger it gets.
the stronger it gets. Yeah. I
Exactly.
love that. And the book also emphasizes the importance of shared experiences
Oh, yeah, shared experiences.
in building deeper connections.
For sure.
So it's not just about talking. It's about doing things together.
Yeah, making memories.
Yeah. Creating memories.
Going on adventures.
Adventures, exactly. And I think that's something that we sometimes forget in our busy lives.
We do.
We get so caught up in our routines
Yeah.
that we forget to actually like make time for those experiences.
To connect.
To connect, yeah. And I think the book makes a really important distinction between being sociable
Mm-hmm.
and being intentional about building those deeper connections.
Ah, that's a good point.
It's not about having a million acquaintances. It's about cultivating those few precious friendships.
The quality over quantity.
Exactly. Quality over quantity. And I think that's where active listening really comes into play.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like really being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Paying attention not just to the words, but to the emotions behind them.
Right. To really understand what the other person is thinking and feeling.
Yeah. And one of the things the book mentions is that there's actually research
Oh, really?
that shows that people who have strong social connections
Mm-hmm.
not only live happier lives,
Yeah.
but they also live longer, healthier lives.
Wow, that's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So it's good for our physical health, too.
It's good for our physical health and our mental health.
Wow.
So it's like a social vaccine
I like that, a social vaccine.
against loneliness and isolation.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think this book really provides like a roadmap
Yeah.
for achieving just that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It gives you the tools.
It gives you the tools,
The technique.
the techniques to navigate the complexities of social interaction.
Yeah, to build those meaningful relationships.
Yeah. And it goes beyond just giving you conversation tips and tricks.
Right.
It encourages you to become a more well-rounded,
Mm-hmm.
interesting,
Yeah.
engaging individual.
I
I li-
love that.
Like all those chapters on storytelling, becoming a more interesting person,
Yeah.
pursuing your passions.
Right.
They're not just about improving your social skills.
Yeah.
They're about enriching your life as a whole.
Totally.
Yeah. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is the book suggests that we treat every conversation as an opportunity
Okay.
for learning and growth.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So instead of just waiting for your turn to speak,
Right.
you're actually listening
Mm-hmm.
You're asking clarifying questions.
Yeah.
And you're genuinely trying to learn something new
From every interaction.
from every interaction. I think that's what makes a good conversationalist,
Yeah.
is someone who's genuinely curious
Yeah.
about the world,
Yeah. And about other people.
about other people. Yeah, and I think the curiosity is contagious.
Oh, it is.
You know, when you're talking to someone who's really engaged
Mm-hmm.
and interested in what you have to say,
Yeah.
it makes you want to be more engaged and interested in what they have to say.
Like a positive feedback loop.
It is a positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
And the book suggests that one of the ways that we can cultivate that curiosity is by expanding our knowledge base.
Oh, okay. How do we do that?
So reading widely,
Yeah.
exploring different fields of interest,
Yeah.
being a lifelong learner.
So the more you know,
Yeah, the more you know, the more you have to
Right.
talk about.
the more interesting you are.
Exactly. And it's not about, like, trying to impress people with your knowledge.
Right.
It's about having those aha moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those sparks of recognition when you connect with someone over a shared interest.
Yeah, or a new piece of information.
A new piece of information. And I think those moments are what make conversations come alive.
Oh, they do.
You know, it's that shared sense of discovery,
Yeah.
that intellectual stimulation.
It's like brain candy.
It is brain candy.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most powerful tools for achieving that is storytelling.
Ah, storytelling again.
Storytelling again.
Back to storytelling.
Back to storytelling, because it's such a powerful way to connect with people.
It is.
And the book gives all these techniques for finding those compelling narratives in everyday life.
Yeah.
Crafting stories that capture attention,
Okay.
evoke emotions,
Yeah.
create lasting impressions.
And I think what's so cool about storytelling is that everyone has a story to tell.
Everyone has a story to tell.
Yeah.
It's just about finding those moments, those experiences that have shaped you, taught you something,
Yeah.
made you laugh, made you cry,
Right.
and sharing them in a way that connects with others.
Yeah, and I think the book really emphasizes that storytelling isn't just about entertaining. It's about connecting on a deeper level.
Yeah.
It's about sharing those vulnerable, authentic parts of yourself
Yeah.
that make you human,
Yes.
that make you relatable,
Yes.
and that ultimately forge those bonds of understanding and empathy.
So well said. And I think one of the most valuable insights from the book
Okay.
is that becoming a great storyteller isn't about memorizing scripts
Right.
or trying to be someone you're not.
Yeah.
It's about being true to your own experiences,
Yes.
your own voice,
Your own perspective.
your own unique perspective on the world.
And that authenticity is what makes your stories resonate.
Yeah.
It's what makes them memorable, and it's what draws people to you.
I love that. And I think that's a beautiful point to ponder
Yeah.
as we transition into the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
So let's give our listeners a moment to reflect on the power of storytelling,
Yeah.
the importance of authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
and the ways in which they can bring their own unique stories to life
Yes.
in their conversations and interactions.
Sounds
It's really amazing how just sharing a little story, even a small one, can make you feel so much closer to someone.
totally.
Like you're giving them a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, it's like you're letting them into your world a little bit.
Exactly.
And I think that kind of goes back to what the book was saying about authenticity,
Oh,
being genuine,
Mm.
like really letting people see who you are.
yeah, that's not always easy, though,
It's not.
especially when you're in like a new situation.
Right, like meeting new people.
Or like a really intimidating social setting.
Yeah, you kind of want to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means like
Putting on a mask.
putting on a mask. Yeah, trying to be someone you think they'll like.
Yeah. And the author actually talks about that.
Oh, really?
He says that trying to be someone you're not is exhausting.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. And it's unsustainable.
And it's not genuine.
And it's not genuine. People can sense it.
They can't, yeah. It's like you can smell it a mile away.
You can. And it creates this barrier
Yeah.
to real connection.
But you're not really letting them in.
Yeah. And you're constantly second guessing yourself.
Right.
Like, am I saying the right thing?
Am I doing the right thing?
Am I doing the right thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're performing instead of connecting.
Exactly. And so the book suggests that we try to embrace our authentic selves,
Okay.
even the messy parts.
The messy parts, like our flaws and imperfections,
Our quirks.
our quirks.
Yeah.
Because those are the things that make us unique
Me do.
and relatable.
And I think that's why we're drawn to people who are comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah, it's like magnetic.
It is.
You know, you just want to be around them.
Yeah, because you feel like you can be yourself too.
Exactly. And the book also emphasizes that being yourself doesn't mean being stagnant.
Right.
It's about continuous growth.
Yeah.
learning,
Evolving.
evolving, yeah, becoming the best version of yourself.
Like a work in progress.
A work in progress, exactly.
Always striving to improve.
Always striving to improve. And I think as we grow and evolve, we naturally attract those who resonate with our values and our passion.
And who we are at our core.
At our core.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is.
The more you embrace your true self, the more confident and charismatic you become. And the more you attract those who appreciate you for who you are.
It's like that positive feedback loop we were talking about earlier.
It is that positive feedback loop.
Any more you feel accepted and valued, the more you're willing to be open and vulnerable, and the deeper those connections become.
And it all comes back to that first point.
Right.
That book made about self-awareness.
Oh, yeah, know thyself.
Know thyself, yeah.
Right.
The more you know yourself, the more comfortable you are in your own skin.
Yeah.
The more authentically you can connect with others.
And that's what makes this book so powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just about conversation skills. It's like a whole journey.
A journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And a roadmap to building those meaningful relationships that make life so much richer.
Totally. Yeah, and as we wrap up, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that it's not about mastering some secret formula or trying to be a social chameleon.
Yeah, like there's no magic trick to making friends.
It's about being present,
Yeah.
being curious, being supportive, and most importantly, being your genuine, authentic self.
So well said.
Thank you.
Those are words to live by.
I think so.
In our interactions and just in life in general.
In all aspects of life.
Yeah.
So to our listeners, as you go forth, remember the power of a genuine smile, a thoughtful question, and the magic that happens when you let yourself be seen and heard.
Fully and authentically.
Fully and authentically, yes.
Go forth and connect.
Go forth and connect.
And until next time, happy conversing.
Happy conversing.